Hello everyone, my name is Satish and today we will be talking about Windows Server 2016. So we will install Windows Server 2016 as a virtual machine in VMware Workstation today, and we'll promote that as a domain controller, and we'll see what else and what different things we can do. So before that I would install VMware Workstation in my Windows 10 desktop machine. So for this I'm going to use VMware Workstation version 15. So let's jump in and install that first. So I have the setup right here. So this one is the 15th version and I have the keys as well. So you can find out these in the internet. So let's start the installation. So it takes a few minutes to get installed. Let's just let it finish. So I accept the agreement. I will uncheck both of these because I don't want, and we'll keep both of these selected because I need the icons. Then next. And install. Will take a minute or two to get it installed. So my system has 16 gigs of RAM, so we will use the memory and processing power according to that. So let's finish it first. Okay, so this is installed. Now let's add the license key that we have. Then finish. Now we have installed it, so let's close and let's start the VMware Workstation application. Now this is the user interface. So before that, let's start the let's check the internet connection we have, the IP addresses. So this is the local area connection. So this is the IP addresses I have given to it. So Wi-Fi is disabled at the moment, and these are the network adapters created by VMware. So let's create the virtual machine now. So new virtual machine from here. So I selected the custom one. So I selected that as it is. I will be using the operating system later, so I selected this one. And next. So from here I will select the Windows operating system. So this is 2016. Next. And so for the virtual machine files, I will select this folder. This is by default selected, so but I will create a subfolder inside it, and we will give the name as the virtual machine. So I provided this name, and similarly I will provide the name to the virtual machine as well. Then next I will select BIOS here. So next, I will give only one processor for this because we will not, this is just for the testing, so we'll provide one processor only. And here the RAM we will be providing 2.5 gigs, so this is 2.5 gig somewhere around. So next. So we will be using a bridge connection for this. So we will talk about that later on. So what are the different types of connection we have for this? So I will be selecting bridge connection here. Next. And the rest of the things will remain as it is. Now we will be using a new virtual disk, and we'll store it as a single file, and we'll give it 30 gigs for this, because that is more than enough. If we are going to test, just creating it for test, then that's good. And okay, so the virtual machine we have created. Now we will mount the ISO file for this. So here we can browse and can mount the ISO file for Windows Server 2016. So I have the files here, this one, and then we'll click OK, and we'll power on this machine. Okay, so as soon as I power on this machine, it will start installation of operating system. So the operating system is quite similar to any other operating systems, but we may need to check few things, like what type of version we will be installing. So we will select India as a region. So let's find out time and currency format. It is India. Okay, there it is. Now next, and install now. So Windows Server 2016 has the core by default. Select. I don't have a product key. So yeah, that was how I was talking about. So if you see the standard, and there is a desktop experience for same for data center. So standard means that is for this core, and the desktop experience with the graphical user interface which we'll be using. So select a desktop experience and standard, accept the license agreement, and then we'll select the custom one. We'll create a new partition here, and just simple things, and next. So it will take a while to get installed, so I will pause the video here and we'll come back once it is done. Okay, so the installation is completed. Now it's just finalizing it. So let's let it finish. I will restart it manually. Let's let it come back. So it will reboot a few times. So let it complete the installation, and after that we will proceed with other steps. Alright, so it's asking for the admin password now. So this is the local admin, so we will add the password because that is required. Add as password and finish. So here our server is ready. So let's log into it for the first time. Okay. Enter the password. Right. So the server we have completed. Now we need to install the VMware tools, because for the virtual machines there are certain things which needs the VMware tool to be installed, like the resolution. So I have mounted it and will run this setup. So the VMware tool helps the system performance, overall performance of your virtual machine, and to perform a few other tasks, like if you want to reboot the machine, or screen resolution and other performance things, which gets better after installation of VMware tool. So this is a quite important step if you are using VMware Workstation. And similar thing, you also need to install if you are using that ESXi, and the virtual machine is there inside the ESXi host. So a similar thing we need to make sure or install in Hyper-V as well. The name is different, but it's quite of similar things. So let's finish this one first. You may see the screen just blink after installation of the tools. So let's finish this. It's asking me for restart, but I won't restart at this time because I have to do some other things as well. So the first thing that I would like to do is to change the IP address and the host name. So let's start with IP address. So I can go from here as well, but I would like to do a command and CPA dot CPL. Okay, this is the network, so go to it, properties. So I will disable the IPv6 and will change the IP address from IPv4. So each of your domain controller must have a static IP address. So we will provide a static IP for this 192.168.1.5 in my case, and the gateway address, which is the address of my internet router. Then DNS will remain it is, and for alternate I will use Google DNS, which is 8.8.8.8. Then OK. Let's close this. So you can check the status now. You see this is the IP address which we have provided just now. So now we will change the name of the computer. So we will provide the name as on the virtual machine we have created, CW16DC1, and OK. All right, close. Now we will restart the system. So we have three things which needs restarting the system now. So let's wait for it to come back online. Let's log into the server now. So let's do one thing. Let's change the resolution first. Let me just minimize this and go to display settings. From advanced, and we'll select 1280 by 720 and apply. So this looks better. Now we can move to the full screens as well. So at the moment I would prefer this one only. So let's check the host name. So the host name is fine. Let's check the IP addresses. Okay, all looks good. Just close this. Now we will add the roles. So the first role we will be installing on it will be Active Directory. So we'll select role based and feature based installation. So click next. So this is the server we need to select, and we'll select Active Directory Domain Services. And add the features. These are by default selected. And DNS, next. So these are by default selected, next and install. So it will take a few minutes. And this is done. So the binaries are installed now. So now we need to promote this server as a domain controller. So I selected it, and then this will be our new forest. So I selected add a new forest, and we'll add the domain name, which is twitsol.online, and then click next. So now you see the functional label is selected 2016. So you can change it to 2012 R2, or if you have any other older server, but this is the first server we have, so we'll select 2016, and I will add the DSRM password. So this is used in case you want to restore your Active Directory in future. So just need to give it a good password. Let's make it sure, and then next. So there is a warning for DNS delegation, we can ignore it. Next, and we'll check and confirm the NetWise name. So we are good. Select next, and next. These are the folders. So you can see this script. So basically this is a PowerShell script which will be running at the back end. Although we are going to perform everything on a graphical user interface, but there is a PowerShell script always running behind. So we'll click next. So now it is checking for the prerequisites. So it will check all the important stuff. So you can see all things are passed, so we'll next. And the installation has begun, so it will take a few minutes. So I will pause the video now, and we'll come back again. Okay, so it is done, and we'll restart now. So just close this. So the server will reboot by itself. So in this time it also takes some time to get all the things configured. It will configure the domain, forest, and the computer for as a domain controller. So after all done, we can log in. So you can see the login has changed, and you can see the NetWise name before account. Just log in to the same password we have. So now the server is promoted as a domain controller. We can verify this now. So this server manager always starts, so I can disable it. We'll select do not start at the login. So I will pin this to the taskbar first, and then okay. So it won't come up automatically every time I reboot the server, but I can do that manually, and we'll go to Active Directory. Now you can see the Active Directory users and computers, everything is fine here. Now check the DNS. So okay, we will wait. So this is Active Directory integrated DNS and everything looks fine. Let's check the host record for it, and that looks fine too. So the other thing, we can check the computer name. Go to computer and its properties. You can see the computer name has a FQDN now, so we can close this. So we have verified the Active Directory is installed now, but we can check a few things from command prompt as well. So first thing, we will check netdom and query PDC. So this will show who is the primary domain controller, and we'll check the FSMO rules as well. So okay, these are, so everything looks fine. So let's ping the domain name. Okay, I have to put the entire domain name here. Okay, so it's pinging. So the DNS is also working fine. So the Active Directory installation is now complete. So the server we have created has started to work as a domain controller.